because I got called a racist forever, and now my monologue about black people's going viral, and all the black people are reacting to it, and they're all agreeing with it for the most part. And, look, it only makes common sense. I'm not a racist in the true sense of like hating other races for who they are, or what is widely considered to be a racist. But I came of age in this politically correct period where if you were white and did not hate yourself and were not constantly tripping over yourself to apologize to or cater to black people, you were called a white supremacist. And I feel like that was the category that I got boxed into. I was never up here just like preaching hatred. That was never the case. And I always got along with black people. I always got along with Bryson Gray. I got along with the Hodge twins. I got along with Myron, Sneeko, Ye. I always got along with black people. I had these controversial views, but I believe I was boxed in because, again, from the time that Michael Richards did that comedy routine where he said the N-word 1,000 times, and like a few years ago, it was so politically correct. Again, if you were not a self-hating white person, you're racist. If you went out there and said, look, I'm white, I'm proud to be white, I like white people, and I have nothing to apologize for, they would say, wow, you're a racist piece of shit. They say, you're a fucking white male, you have no culture. Step aside, your time is over. And, the inverse of that is if you were not tripping over yourself to not offend black people. Like, yes, I have said the N-word on the show. I've uttered that word. I know it's a crime. It's practically a blasphemy. But it's like if you're a white person that doesn't let them control your speech, you're racist. If you're not tripping over yourself to apologize and pander to their feelings about crime or these other topics, you're a bad person. I was just ahead of the curve. I think black and white people have realized that there was this excess. I think we've all realized, like, hey, Houston, we have a problem. We had this narrative 5 years ago that like the police were the new Ku Klux Klan genociding black people by killing them for no reason. And under that assumption, we started to defund the police and let criminals roam free. And now everything's a shithole. And now every night there's a story about an armed robbery, a carjacking, a shooting, a stabbing. We get these videos on TikTok. Never ashamed, they say.
Like, you can say whatever you want about Nick, but you can't call him a liar. Like, for real, he is speaking some facts, and he's actually saying what many people think. I'm 100% sure that even black people who, like, watch this now, they also agree with this. Like, I think it's because of, like, the woke era, like, the wokeism. Like this double standard with like black people, and I will talk for myself, but every time when I'm talking like with a black person, you always feel like you're walking on eggshells a little bit. You have to be very careful, and that says already enough. Like, it should be like, if you talk, or you can say whatever you, long story short, you can say whatever you want towards a white man or white woman or me, I can do that. But if you do this with a black person, you're always like, there's a high chance they will call you like racist. And this double standard is like annoying me a little bit. I think it's like we are like, it's almost over this era. We now, even like what Nick just said here, black people are also starting to notice that it's just stupid, like this double standard. And I think they don't even want to get treated like this, that you have to be really careful. Like, you're almost talking with like a little child, my opinion. And I think it's good. But correct me if I'm wrong. If you have another opinion, please share your opinion in the comments. I'm very curious.
And now black and white people are saying, okay, so clearly that was a mistake. Like, clearly George Floyd did not get killed for walking while black. He was part of this epidemic of black sociopathy, which does not characterize every black person, but there are a lot of black people that feel entitled and they menace society, or they believe the rules don't apply to them and they commit crimes. And they're emboldened. And I think everybody's coming to recognize that's a big problem for all of us. Every law-abiding, decent person is going to say, yeah, Clearly, racism was not the issue. The issue is that opportunists will take advantage of a situation. There are opportunists who think they're not going to get in trouble for breaking the law. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to break the law. And so it is. So anyway. But you know what? At the end of the day, what I will say about the whole thing is it is almost emotional, because I felt like from when I started doing this, I felt like I was the good guy. You know, I wanted to be the good guy. When I started this show, I felt like America was controlled by Israel. I felt like diversity was ruining America. It's changing the demographics of our country, changing the texture of our lives. It's making the country unrecognizable. White people were under attack. I think in many ways they still are. They were being discriminated against. Our homes were being transformed involuntarily. Society was being ripped apart by feminism, by pornography, by all this degenerate stuff. It was getting more hedonistic and depraved as time went on. And it felt like it would always be that way, and it would always get worse. And if you spoke out about it, you just got lied about and punished unfairly. If you just disagreed, you were attacked ruthlessly and relentlessly. You were called evil, and people said that because you're evil, we're going to hit you, we're going to kill you, we're going to take away your livelihood, and then we're going to laugh about it. And so when I got into this 10 years ago, I wanted to be the good guy. I felt like the good guy. And for 10 years, for basically just disagreeing, I'm not a hateful person, but for disagreeing, they just shit down my throat and called me the worst things. I was ostracized from society. My high school friends wanted nothing to do with me. I couldn't get a job. I was banned from PayPal, banned from banks, banned from politics.
That's insane, right? Just think about it. For like having an opinion and this happens to you, that's insane. But I think this has to do with the cancel culture, with like the woke era, what I said before. But I think like times are changing now. Like the cancel culture is almost over. Very good. Like very good. It's the best thing what could happen to us. Like cancel culture was just whack. Same goes for like the wokeism. And I think it's now even the opposite. Now we get like more freedom of speech. Like the censorship is almost like gone. We can say more. Like people can just have their opinion. And this is very important. Like 5 years ago, exactly what Nick just said here. You almost lost your job for having an opinion. You almost you almost was getting attacked for having an opinion. Like insane, right? But now I feel like the times are changing, and this is really good, because if we still want to be like the country with freedom of speech, the worst thing we can do is like censor like opinions. Like this goes same for the left as for the right. Like of course, like I don't want anyone to be censored. So it's good that times are changing, and I think Nick will explain more about this.
And everybody would just say, oh, you're that piece of shit Nazi? Fuck you. Someone should kill you. And it's like, why? I do a talk show because I disagree? Because I think we had too much immigration? Because I know and say for a fact that Israel is influencing our country? And they started to make me feel like the bad guy. And in some ways I leaned into that, I think. I'm not too often, but you know, there's some unfortunate clips where I think we leaned into being bad. Because they made us feel like we were bad. They made us feel like for speaking our minds and saying what we thought was right and expressing our values and our identity, like, look, I'm white, I'm Christian, this is what matters to me. We were made to feel like we shouldn't exist, like we should go and kill ourselves or die, or that someone should kill us. Just because, and I don't think my show ever was really hateful or anything like that. And it wasn't fair. And we had no megaphone. I was some kid, and the ADL and Fox News and like Daily Wire were trying to get me killed. And so they started to make me feel like the villain, and you start then to lose hope in what's good, because you say, if I'm doing the right thing, if I'm trying to do the right thing, if I'm being honest, and I'm getting lied about and slandered and like crucified for this, well, then, you know, what the fuck? Maybe there is no such thing as a happy ending. And so what's been emotional about this whole year is for the first time, I feel like the good guy. when I get to shine and I get to tell people when we condemn the genocide in Palestine, which that's my real opinion. That's always been my opinion. You start to feel like the good guy. And when people hear you out, even about the race issue, and they might not agree with the whole thing, but they say, I see where he's coming from. You start to feel like the good guy again. You start to believe in good again, and in people for that matter. So it's been very compelling. And in many ways, someone like a Donald Trump, someone like a Nick Fuentes, you get what you give. And for so long, society was giving a lot of resentment and hatred and cancellation and all this stuff. And I think not even necessarily myself, but a lot of other people, they were giving that energy back. And that wasn't in every case. There are some people that are just sadistic and malevolent, but I think a lot of people were basically mistreated and abused and made to feel like there was no place for them in our country, made to feel like they had no right to an opinion, made to feel like they had no right to exist. They were being told literally, like, if you liked America the way it was, fuck you, go die. If you're not on board with transgender, gay, everything, if you're not on board with endless diversity, endless incoherence, wars for Israel, all this kind of stuff, well, you should just go and die, and no one cares about you, and you're a piece of shit. And I think a lot of people became very angry and desperate. They said, wow, like, my life is being taken from me, my family, my neighborhood, my country's being taken from me. Fuck this. That's why people stormed the Capitol. That's why people went to Charlottesville. I know, because I was there. And again, it's not to exonerate everybody. There are some legitimately malevolent people that are just resentful, are just malevolent or antisocial or sadistic. But I think the vast majority of alt-righters, Trumpers, Groypers, we are people that it was a reaction to what was going on. Now, the question is twofold. Now that censorship and cancel culture has receded, here's the challenge. It is to translate a movement that was reactive and resentful into a movement that is progressive. And what I mean by that is, I'm not satisfied with where we are. How do we push ahead? Not based on grievance and resentment and revenge. How do we push ahead based on building an American society that we all want to live in? Rather than just being angry, anti-white, black people, rather than this kind of Matt Walsh, it's just a different flavor of racial resentment every night. The question is, what is the positive vision? How do we transmute that resentment into a positive vision for change and let go of a lot of that negative emotion?
I understand like the point Nick is trying to make here, but to be honest, and again, this is just my opinion, after like the assassination or the murder of Charlie Kirk, after his death, and I saw all these left-wing people celebrating his death, that showed for me that this is not possible. Of course, like I wish also we lived in like an utopia with like everyone was agreeing with each other, or you don't even have to agree with each other, but you live like in a country where you can respect each other's opinion. Of course, I would like to live in a country like this. But after the death of Charlie Kirk, I saw like that people are celebrating the death of a father with a family. I lost all hope. And this is just my opinion.
And it's not to say that we're not still aiming for a sovereign, independent country with white identity at the forefront. It's not really like changing the essential ingredients, but how do we make sure that the tone matches the moment? 10 years ago, we were really under the boot. And I don't think we should take our foot off the gas. But it's going to be kind of like a tricky thing to do to translate the politics of like a Charlottesville or a J6 into a politics of what if the future inventors and innovators and architects, the actual visionaries are going to share our politics, the builders, the progressives, the people that want to move society forward. How do we keep our foot on the gas without leaning into bitterness? How do we let go of some of that, some of those emotions, the anger, and treat our former adversaries with a kind of beneficence, with a kind of magnanimity? Which is to say, in other words, like, we are the future. Everyone is a Groyper. Everyone is America first. Our former foes, our former opponents, the black people, the white people, the Christians, everybody else. How do we embrace them as part of our larger agenda? How do we bring them in a way that doesn't compromise our values and our vision, but that is magnanimous, that is letting go of some of those negative feelings from before, because we have a bigger vision. You know, the vision is bigger than this cycle of political grievance. It's about, you know, really fundamentally transforming America in such a way that everyone will wake up one day and say, we're all Groypers now. We're all America first now. We've all been won over. And the new floor, the new consensus is the Groypers, in the same way that the liberals did, in the same way that other movements have in the past. That's the question, because if the movement cannot move on from the reactivity, if it can't initiate and be proactive, it will not survive. It cannot continue to merely be reactive. If it can't let go of some of these emotions, the down, the bitterness, the negativity, can't move forward. And I see this strain all the time. I think of guys like Matt Walsh, where every show is like one note, and every show is just like, fuck black people. Everyone's anti-white. Everything's racist. And I, like, on some level, I agree with it. I get it. That's how it's been. That's a righteous, legitimate feeling. At the same time, the kind of harping in that one note negative way, I don't think that's going to drive the conversation and society forward. It's too conservative. And by conservative, I don't mean ideologically. It's too, like, dispositionally conservative. So anyway, people are saying Nick got the call. If you're saying that, you're not understanding what I'm saying.
I completely understand what you were saying, and I also agree with it. Like, it's better to, like, build bridges than, like, to break them, if you understand what I mean. But with some people, like, I think, like, there's so much, like, difference between, like, the right wing and the left wing people, like the Groypers and the non-Groypers. Like, just what I said before. For example, take Charlie Kirk's, like, the death of Charlie Kirk. If you see how some people react, that just shows you in, like, one shot. Or one shot is not the best word to use now, but that shows you in one picture, like, how different people in our country are. Like, it's insane. Like, it's seriously insane. Some people are crying, and some people are, like, laughing. It's completely the opposite, and it just shows you, like, there's, like, the people in our country. There's too many different people in our country, and I don't even know why people are, like, extremely right, extremely left. If you know the answer, please put it in the comments. But, like, the thing is, like, I think we cannot, like, wish or, like, think about or dream about, like, a country where everyone is agreeing with each other. That will never happen. That will never happen, sadly. But I completely understand the point Nick is trying to make here, and we could work on, like, being more connected to each other. But I always feel like right wingers are, like, very open for this, but left wing people are not open for this. But that's my opinion.
What I'm not saying we should change any part of our program. I'm saying that the tone, and the evidence is already there. When people watch my show, even if they disagree, I can play to my audience of core supporters. I can also play to an audience of people that should hate me, and they may continue to hate me. But a lot of them are going to hear my message and say, oh, this is actually uplifting. This is actually a positive vision. This isn't what I thought. This isn't just resentment. This isn't just a kind of reactive message. People are saying this is a vision that is all-encompassing that I can get behind. It's holistic. And so, you know, most people are not going to understand what I mean by that, because most people cannot think conceptually. But I will continue to demonstrate what I'm talking about, and you will see the results. So it's sort of what I've been doing all this time. It's all in the approach. Everything is in the approach. So important, so subtle. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. But anyway, so that's that.
And that's very good. And this is exactly why I like Nick. Like, seriously, like, what a legend. I'm very curious about your opinion. Do you agree with Nick? Do you disagree with Nick? Please share your opinion in the comments. It's very important to say I read all comments. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you really like this video, consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. And last but not least, guys, I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!